we don't check on our strong friends. We don't check on people just to call and say, hey, I'm thinking about you. And that can go a long way. And it's not up to y'all to do that. If somebody's going through something, they have to also do the work for themselves. But just
Yo, what is up? What is up? Welcome to All Shots No Chaser. This is your boy, Real Chris Radney. We're here in beautiful Atlanta as always. And you see we've got a special guest on the show. But I'm going to start off with my amazing co-host. Better introduce herself.
What's up, everybody? It is Real Barbeee. Y'all know what it is. And yes, we do have a special guest. May I announce her because it is Women's History Month. The beautiful, talented, intelligent Dr. KP, aka Dr. Keisha, aka Dr. Prince, all that good stuff. All right, y'all. How are you doing today, girl?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm wonderful. We're so excited to have you on the show. We've been itching to get you on here, girl.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Because of course, it's marked as Women's Month, so why not kick off the first show of the month with, amazing. So I will let you introduce yourself formally.
Okay.
And let everybody know who you are and what you do.
Okay, so my name is Dr. Keisha Prince. I go by KP. I do therapy and evaluation. So basically what that looks like for me is I'm heavily trained in forensics, but I provide therapy for a general population and things like that. So yeah, right now I'm doing a lot of stuff and just educating the public on mental health stuff.
Wow. Speaking of mental health, this is why we wanted to give you guys a gem. Mental health is out there. It is real. I actually just went through a total 100% self-detox and cleanse. I'll give details on that at another time, but I'm going through that, and y'all, it has brought out so many different things that I had buried. So that is, mental health is definitely real. You always want to address mental health with a professional or even a friend, whatever you feel comfortable, but do not just let it go and simmer on your own. Chris?
Facts. I'm going through one myself. It's on my other, it's in my vlog. So you guys see that, you'll kind of know. I will touch on it more here too, so people tune in. But we'll focus on you for today. So let us know like your background, like how you got into therapy, and all this makeup.
Okay.
Let us in about Keisha.
Okay, so yeah, my background, I think my background comes from just knowing I really wanted to do therapy for a really long time. I found out in high school that I wanted to do it. I saw this movie, A Beautiful Mind. Have you seen it?
Yes, oh my God.
Right, so that's what got me into it. And so I kind of made my game plan to be a therapist. So I wanted to do forensics. They had Criminal Minds and all these other shows coming out at the same time. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be a therapist and come up there and I have that, I have my gun. And I thought it was gonna be this real big deal. And then, I went through school, got a psychology degree or bachelor's in psychology from Georgia Southern. Then I went and did a master's of criminology from West Georgia. And then I went and got a PsyD, which is a doctorate of psychology in clinical psychology from Alliant International University. So right now, I'm doing therapy and I do evaluations for different government agencies and things like that. But overall, I got my training basically in forensics, so it's correctional. So I worked in jails and in the court systems, and right now I do mandated treatment too. Well, not necessarily mandated treatment anymore, but mandated evaluations. So
like a mix of Silence of the Lambs and Criminal Minds.
a little bit.
Silence of the Lambs.
It can be like that a little bit sometimes. Like the cases that you hear about can be very interesting sometimes. So yeah.
Wow.
That's what intrigued me. That whole Beautiful Minds, A Beautiful Mind, kind of was like, wow, this is really how people's brain works sometimes. So yeah, and seeing that in a forensic setting is different. So
Wow,
very
yes.
interesting.
So, okay, so yeah, because obviously, we see them on the shows and things like that where people are like, I did this, or they're mass murders or things like that. Wow, that's a tough thing to take into. I feel like we always talk about, I'm just going to my therapist because I just got divorced. I'm going to my therapist because I don't like the way I look. You are hardcore at dealing with the mind. Wow, that is crazy. So do you rehab? I know you can't talk about specific stories and things of that nature because of confidentiality, but are you reversing things or are you just more so evaluating?
So I've done therapy and I've done evaluation. A lot of time when you do evaluation, that's it. There's no therapy. It's just you take the history, you take all these other components and you create a report. There's testing, and then you basically figure out what's going on with this person specifically. And then you provide recommendations for what they should do and what they could do to help. With therapy, I've done kind of helping them to shift mindset. So at one point I was doing sex offender treatment. And so I was working in Ohio doing that, and that was a lot different because it's so many different things that play a role into how somebody's mind works and to how they commit certain crimes and things like that. So at that point, yeah, I'm assisting them to reverse it. And a lot of times it's through, I use cognitive behavioral therapy. So I don't know if y'all have ever heard of that before, but it's called CBT, and it really focuses on your emotions and your thoughts and how that plays into your behaviors. So if you can shift your thoughts, your emotions are gonna happen anyway, but if you can shift your thoughts, you can shift your behaviors. So that's what I'm doing with people, is helping them to kind of see different perspectives and just learn new skills.
Wow. So how do you, okay, so taking in information like that and having, I mean, sex offenders and things like that, what does that do for you? Like, how do you cope when it's like everything's said and done?
Yeah, so I haven't done sex offender treatment in a long time, but I think in just general, it was tough for me because I have nieces and nephews and, you know, hearing about things and stuff like that, that was difficult. So really just checking yourself. Like, you know you have biases, you know you have these things, and you can't treat somebody effectively, you can't help them if you're looking at them and judging them. So I had to check myself a lot in terms of coping, knowing when to take some time off. Which is really hard because if everybody needs you or everybody's looking to you for help, it's like, how do I not show up? But you can't show up for them if you don't show up for yourself. So,
ooh, snaps.
Yeah, so I'm often like trying to figure out, am I too tired to do this, or can I work with them effectively today? And just making sure that I'm eating right, sleeping right, drinking my water, you know, being involved with people I care about and being fulfilled in other ways. That's important to me in coping. So
That's definitely a big deal because I know, therapists I know like vicarious trauma is a thing, right? So I didn't personally understand what that meant until I actually had to work with girls in a rehab facility, and I had to meet their therapist. I'm like, oh, I have to let it. I don't know how y'all do this every day. So like, for you, like as far as like not keeping biases, like how do you avoid that?
I check in, and I have supervisors, and I have people that I can talk to. So like my coworkers and things, if I'm having an issue, I go and consult. It was just a really big thing. Sometimes I'm reading up on different people and you know, how you can work with them a little bit better. So it's, you know, I think it's tough, but you have to be aware of it to change anything or just to acknowledge it. So if I'm in a session with a client and I'm noticing that I'm having a bias, then I'll stop myself and I'll just listen rather than trying to respond in that moment. So yeah, or if I don't feel like I can work with them, referring them out. Like,
You got some willpower. I've been cussing motherfuckers out.
And here's the real Chris. Here he is. I knew he was in there somewhere.
no, but it's
He always
true.
pops out.
It's true. Like, I think people think about therapists and they're like, you know, they have all these things and they can handle all these things, but ultimately I think, oh Lord, I just forgot what I was saying, sorry. So I lost my train of thought before, but we were talking about biases, and I was just kind of providing you with some confirmation that I think even people think that therapists don't have these biases when we go into, you know, our sessions with people. And it's important to know that because there's days where, I get frustrated too. I come in and I have a long day and things like that, and I need to be able to check my biases, and my client doesn't need to suffer from what I'm going through too. But I mean, I know that there's certain things that I can feel or react to because of what was said in my own experiences. So you can change that if you are aware of it. It's basically what I was saying. So.
Wow. So would you say that, because I know I took a course on like child psychology, and we pick up all of our mannerisms and takes into adulthood from childhood. Do you think that when you've dealt with some of these people that is that true? It's childhood trauma and it never was addressed, or maybe they kept it in, things like that?
Yeah, I mean, I think, first of all, a lot of people don't understand how big your early on experiences are with attachment, with just experiences in general. So a lot of people love the way that they were loved when they were younger. So if that was, avoidant or anxious or whatever, secure, they're probably going to carry that on into adulthood until they do something to change that in the middle of that. So you have to be aware again to change that. But yeah, early on experiences, like when I'm doing an evaluation, I do a thorough social history. Talks about where were you born, like basic stuff. Where were you born? Who were you raised by? That kind of stuff. All that matters in how somebody has like developed their own sense of being and how they maneuver through the world. So it's important, yeah. And that's why you can see so many different things. Like me and you could have come from the same place and we could be so different.
Yeah.
Have completely different experiences just because we experienced something different growing up. So.
Oh no, 100%. I have even in the same household. So like the way I grew up is I have my 4 siblings, my 4 little brothers on my mom's side, and I have 2 sisters on that side. So my sister lived with my dad and my stepmom their whole life. I lived with my mom pretty much my whole life, except for a few times I went back and forth, right? But like my sisters are totally opposites. They have the same mom, same dad, same upbringing, the exact situations, and it's like they turned out totally fucking different, and their perspective on life are totally different. It's like one of my sisters is like one right under me. She's super prissy, like bougie to the core, like with the like she gives rich auntie vibes, right? And then my younger one, like she with the shits, like she about that life, like hang out with drug dealers, hang out with gangbangers, like she's a rapper, all that other shit. I'm like, I'm so confused. What the fuck happened to y'all? Because it's like it's night and day. But then like I watch myself, and I'm a mix of both of those. But I'm like, I don't know how y'all came out like total opposite of each other.
It's experiences. Your early experiences really dictate a lot, but I mean, that's not to say that you can't change them. So even though I've been through something when I was younger, that I wasn't responsible for that. That was beyond me. I can change right now what's going on with me. I have control over that. And so a lot of people get stuck with that because we think because this is how we are, this is who we've been for so long, we can't get outside of that. And so it keeps people stuck.
And I know this is a broad question, but do you really feel that, I mean, is it true to nature, the more you hold in traumas, even whether from childhood or even you adulthood experience, the more you hold it in, you are really hindering yourself way more than if you were to go. Because I feel like in our culture, the Black culture, it's almost like shunned upon to go to therapy. I have a therapist that I'm actively going to, and I'm okay with that. But I feel like there's so many people that think it's such a bad thing. And I'm like, I start looking at it like, I feel like I would rather talk to a stranger than to call my friends. And not even that I feel like they're gonna judge me, but I feel like I don't even wanna bring my burdens to them. You know, if I say, hey Chris, how you doing today? And he's like, oh, you know, I'm having a really long day, long week, and things like that. I don't wanna pile that on him too. I'd rather say, well, let's talk about something good.
Yeah.
You know, so yeah, like elaborate on that as far as like the holding in and being that you've been able to evaluate hundreds of people, you know, that have had these issues. What would you give advice to people listening right now?
Well, I think you're right. I think there's been a history of people, especially in the Black community, not thinking that therapy would be helpful. Because when you think about therapy, especially when you've been raised, a lot of us have been raised in like religious backgrounds, like growing up, right? And what do we hear? We hear, pray, give your burdens to God, that kind of stuff. And so it equates to not having faith in God's ability to help you through whatever it is that you're going through if you seek outside sources. But the truth is, whatever you believe, you're going to be given resources. God's going to give you resources, you know what I mean? And so kind of changing the idea that, okay, this isn't something that I'm saying I don't have faith in God for. I'm saying that I have faith in God, so I'm going to take this resource and I'm going to get help because this is how I can get help here. And so, yeah, I think we've kind of been, especially too, like, there's another part of us that our families is like, keep what's inside, don't air your dirty laundry, you know? And so we keep a lot of stuff in, and you think that only causes mental strain, it causes physical strain. So when people say, for example, that saying, I feel like I'm gonna die of a broken heart. Have you ever felt your heart just like hurting so bad? That's stress.
It's like a pain. Yeah, like it's actually a pain or like a feeling in the stomach.
That's not emotion.
That's your emotion has become so overwhelming that now your body's physically feeling the stress from it. Gotcha. So your mind and your body are so important to have together, like good. If they're not, you're gonna start feeling physical stuff. And so what I say to people that are in that position where they think that therapy is a bad thing, just try it. You know what I mean? Like you're not gonna find your best therapist the first time. You have to go shop sometimes. Sometimes you do make a connection, but try it. And I think it's because too, if I talk to you, right, we know each other. If I talk to you about something, you might have an opinion about something. You might have a judgment. Therapist is not gonna do that. A therapist will tell you what you need to know, but they're not gonna have the same type of relationship where it's an emotional one. And so they can provide different perspective on a situation. And so when you actually allow yourself to go in and start talking to one, you can discover a lot more about yourself that other people couldn't pull out of you.
Gotcha. No, that makes total sense. Like, it's like, so from a Black man perspective, you might be saying like growing up, especially growing up in Detroit, something we all have in common because you live in Detroit,
Yeah. Oh, okay. You know about the deep.
So it's just like that part of like keep the family shit inside. So like when you go through stuff and it's like trying to explain to people like I don't know why I act the way I act. I don't know why I talk the way I talk. I don't know why certain things trigger me. Like I mentioned earlier, like off camera, we talking about the whole crying thing. Like I know so many people, like even men, but men and women both, who like they can't cry because like crying is a sign of weakness. And it's like if you go through shit, it's like okay, cool, just like figure it out.
Yeah.
So like I know like when you get people fight for their first time in therapy, like from that type of background, how is that?
When I say it one more time.
Oh, so when you get people like from that type of background of like I don't know how to talk to people or show emotion, like how is that for you? Like trying to get that out of it?
I think it's been on both ends. So sometimes people actually come in there and because they have so much to say and they feel safe, they can just say it. But then sometimes I find myself just having to ask like probing questions. So why don't you tell me about your day? That's how I start. Why don't you tell me about your day? How's your week been going? And they'll start talking, well, I did this. Okay, well, this happened. Okay, well, what about this? And then it'll start coming out and they'll be like, oh, I didn't know I had that much to unpack, So it's probing questions basically. And it's because you're not asked those questions on a typical basis. So when you're asked this question, it comes to the forefront of your mind and now you're processing it when you weren't processing it before. And so yeah, too, there was something else I wanted to say. There is, I think, a stigma that people are weak whenever you seek mental health services because you can't handle it by yourself.
Yep.
And that's the furthest from the truth. It takes such strength to get yourself to a position to say, hey, I want to be vulnerable and I want to process this and heal this,
So my thing, which I don't talk about often, but since we're talking about it, I never sought anybody, any type of medical help or therapy because anytime I had ever been vulnerable in my life, I was hurt so bad. It was, taking advantage, nothing like, or, I wasn't raped or anything sexual, but the emotion that I went through when I was vulnerable and was kind of like, okay, here's me, pure. I'm not this big bad boss, chick. This is me. I always was hurt. So, it was, even when I first did therapy, I was fronting the first conversation. It wasn't until you said probe, she probed the hell out of me. And we ended up going back to me cheerleading and my parents not coming to the game. Not coming to my games. Not supporting me. And I was like, whoa, I'm 33. I was 16 in high school. What do you... So, that was when I got comfortable, is when I was like, I saw her power of how she could help me and how she brought something out that a cheerleading, I was not even thinking of high school. I was so focused on, I want to get better now. This was a big step for me. So yeah, it was like, I had to really, I always talk about trust and things like that. And I feel like, we don't trust another person. We don't trust the people we know, let alone to trust a stranger. But I feel like from your expertise and things of that nature and the people you talk to people or harm to themselves, it's like, what preventing measures could you have taken before you get to that point? Because we all don't know the crazy that can come out if you hold it in.
Yeah.
You don't know what you could do, you know what I mean? Because you're not talking to nobody about it. You're just keeping it in and trying to just, I'm a thug, I'm strong, G, and you're not.
Yeah. It's true. You know what? I think this is something that somebody specifically just personally told me that I thought was profound. So I have a friend that kind of just would talk to me about a lot of stuff and just, and one day I think I had a bad day and I broke down and they were like, wow, this is really weird to see you like this. I don't get like that in front of a lot of people. A lot of time I process alone, but this is really weird to see you. Like, you're one of the strongest people that I know. When I think about strength, I think about you.
Aww.
And it's like you're crying right now, and I want to apologize to you because I feel like I put so much on you when you're, when you're a human being too, you're going through the emotions and all that stuff. And so I was like, wow, so just even that thought in itself, somebody can appear so strong to you, and we don't check on them. We don't check on our strong friends. We don't check on people just to call and say, hey, I'm thinking about you. And that can go a long way. And it's not up to y'all to do that. If somebody's going through something, they have to also do the work for themselves. But just being there for somebody, listening, checking in with your friends, even sometimes just saying, how can I support? Or what do you need? Like, what do you need from me? Because sometimes a friend might come to you and try to talk, and you try to give all this advice, and they're not trying to hear it. They just want you to listen. So just trying to understand how to be a better friend for those people around you. So that's one of the ways I think to start is just an open dialogue about it.
I definitely do this.
Chris, do you need anything?
I'm Gucci.
Do you need me for anything?
But no, somebody else was talking about the whole strong friend thing because, like, I think, like, you're a therapist, right? So naturally, because of your title, people instantly click, like, oh, well, she can handle whatever. Cause she good. And it's like, we forget you're human. And then people see my stature and they're like, oh, and you're fine. Like, no, motherfucker, I'm not fine. Right. And I just like, I have younger siblings, so like a lot of times, like, they just talk to me, and I'm just like, I don't think today's the day. Like, but it's like you can't say that. You can't say like today's not the fucking day for me. Like, because like people look at you for certain things. Like, this is what you do. Like, this is who you are. And I'm like, yeah, like people gotta remember, like, strong people have to find strong people too. Like sometimes, like my friends who live with strong people, I'm just like, I need you to like listen to me for 5 minutes so I can talk. So I understand like. So do you see a therapist?
I do, yeah, and you can say that. You can say that's a boundary, and boundaries are important. Like, you need to establish boundaries. And I say that all the time too. When you're on an airplane, right? What's the first thing they tell you when the masks come down?
Put your own mask on first.
Yes, before you put it on someone else. You cannot help anyone else if you are passed out. So you have to really think about it like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, you really have to think about, I need to take care of myself first. I know it doesn't always have to be before someone else, but sometimes if this is too much for me, if I can't carry this weight today, I'm not responsible for anybody else's weight. And so yeah, I do have a therapist that I've been seeing. I've had several. I choose Black female therapists because I feel like they understand my situation. A lot of Black males do that too. But I've just found that they relate a little bit more to me. They can understand like the struggles that I experience. So yeah, I think it's important. I wouldn't be able to do what I'm doing unless I had one. So
I have a question for you, Chris.
Okay, go ahead. About why I got a Black female therapist?
No, I think no, but you can elaborate on it. Okay. No, I have a question for you. So, being that you are a trainer and things like that, and I know with me, naturally, I'm a people's person, but naturally, I start talking and just, you know, oh, I'm going through this, I'm going through that, talking, and I'll never forget the day that he was so quiet, and I was like, "Are you okay?" And he's like, I got a lot on my plate, and he spilled it all out. And I felt good though, because I was like, okay, well, yeah, you know, I'm always talking your head off, but talk my head off. And you know, we've grown a friendship and things of that nature. But how do you feel taking that in? Because you are not a therapist, but you are a therapist as a trainer.
When I started training, I was 23. And I worked at the facility. I was strength and conditioning coach for a track and girls basketball team. And that was like the first time like I realized that like they will talk to you because they're with you all the time. So like if you look at a trainer, like your trainer and shit, like so trainers have got barbers and all that shit. Like my barber is one person. I talk to my barber about everything because I know I can talk to you and you won't say shit to me about it again. So like I as an athlete I didn't realize like I never talked to my coaches ever.
Really?
Like,
okay.
I would, but it was like very surface until I think I was 17. My coaches, 5'5", and I'm like, yo, like, I started talking to them because it's the first time I had like a relationship as a high school kid, and I talked to my dad about it. So my dad was talking to my girlfriends, so it's like I talked to them about it, and they were like not too much older than me, so it's like, all right, cool. So I can freely do it. So as like an older and became a trainer, I started realizing like my clients would do it, and then I'm like, at first it was like it just surface shit. Like, oh, you're big as the person, blah, blah, that seems cool. I'm like, I'm not, okay, cool. I'm just like working out. I'm not thinking nothing of it. And then the first time I got hit with like an actual real issue, I had one of my clients, like, it's like early on, like 2015. He was on kid number 4.
Ooh.
And we played ball together. And he was just going through it. I'm like this, like, I'm like, bro. And I was like, oh, this is what will be happening for real. So then I started realizing, like my clients I have longer, and I start talking to them more. It's like they hit me with everything. Like I know every fucking thing. Like I know where the bodies are buried. I know what money you laundered. I know like how you fucking cheat on your husband. I'm like this. I'm like, I need y'all to tell me this shit. Oh no. Like they will tell you everything. Cause like for them the same thing as like having a stylist. Like I'm with you for 4 or 5 hours a week, and there's like a client confidentiality situation. So like they want to tell me everything because like they feel free. And I don't know what about motherfuckers that start working out, they want to talk.
Unless you can't breathe.
It is coping.
Exercise is a coping skill.
Oh,
yeah.
it makes sense now. It makes you want to talk.
It makes you. I talk to my trainer whenever I'm going. She's a friend too, but when we train, I'm like everything just comes out, you know. So,
okay, so why is that?
I think it's because you're already in a space where you're coping. Like your exercise, I tell people this too. Like whenever you're experiencing depression or even anxiety, like a lot of like hyperactivity, exercise is really good. So even if it's like for 10 minutes a day, it changes the chemistry in your body. It also like helps you to feel better. And so when you're doing that, you're coping. In the process, you're talking and you're saying whatever. You feel comfortable, so you do it.
Okay, that makes so much sense now because Barbee's like it's my dog. So like what I wouldn't do the podcast with her. We were super close. But it was like the first time first session, she was like stop talking to me and shit. And I'm just like I'm like, okay, she's cool. And they start talking more and being open with me and shit. I was like, okay, this is odd because I only really hang out with you in the gym.
We would. I mean, we've had some really good conversations, and it was like me and Chris actually end up facing the same transition in life together. He had told me, he's like, yeah, I'm leaving my 9-to-5 job, and I'm about to go on this entrepreneur. I've done it before. I kind of see where I have my little downfalls, so I'm about to go into it. I had no idea, because I was looking at him like, oh, you are so the bomb. I want to be like you when I grow up. I want to be an entrepreneur too. And so it was awesome. And then I didn't know that 2 weeks later I was going to be in the same boat with him. And I remember he was one of the first people I called, like, bro, I'm in the same boat. And he's like, wait, what happened? Whoa. And so, you know, I was able to, I told him and I was like, man, and he was like, man, you got this and things like that. And it was crazy because it was like the same little I was giving him. 2 weeks later, he's giving me right back. And it made me feel good that I gave it to him originally because it was like he, without question, he was like, you good, you got this, man, and just focus on this and focus on that. So it was like I was in the same boat. We were in the same boat together, you know, like, okay, we gotta grind, we gotta do things we don't wanna do. As far as like being your own boss does not mean that you're just about to sit down and just chill. No, we got to get out there and still get it and stuff. So it was so crazy. And even with my cleansing, this detox that I've been going through now, the other day, Chris had texted me and he was like, hey, you know, we still good for Friday at 12. I said, yeah, we're good. And he was like, yo, I got to do some stuff. Our good friend Danny, he has his wind down Wednesdays, every Wednesday. And he was like, yo, I'm not going to be there, but I want to make sure, you know, Danny got a body there just for support. And I was just like, okay, you know, of course I'm like, naturally, yes. But I ended up not being able to come. And I told Chris, you know, I was like, my social skills, I don't think I can be around a whole bunch of people yet. And he was like, pause. It's like, we were texting, but he was like, pause. Are you okay? Nobody's asked me, am I okay? Nobody has texted me, am I okay? And I was like, are you okay, Devin? I said, yeah, I'm good. I said, yeah, I'm good. And I said, and we can do the podcast and we can interview with you. And I said, you know, I'm good. And he said, all right, say less. That went so far for me. Just, are you okay? Because when I was like, I'm doing this and I'm doing that, he was just like, all right, you talking real fast. Okay, you all right? You good though? All right. He didn't even have to say, hey, I'm here if you need me. It was just the facts of him asking me, doing those little tiny check-ins. Are you okay? It went so far with me to make me feel so good, and then it also enhanced another level of loyalty to him now. You know, are you okay? Are you good? Because we appear to be A1. Nice looking, good to go. I just got married. Entrepreneur, I'm doing. And nobody ever sits back and thinks to be like, yo, are you okay? You good? You know what I mean? So it just goes so far, man. And I appreciate and respect people in your field tenfold, even if you don't hear it all the time. Without you, you are definitely saving lives and saving mental, man. Like, I mean, hands down. We got our audience clapping in the back. Hands down, because you are needed.
Thank you.
You are essential.
I appreciate that. You know, I need those some days too. I think just, you know, hearing that from people kind of keeps me going in what I'm doing too. So
Thank you.
Well, you know, you are appreciated. Like, you appreciate. So, as a black, because we talk about black female therapists. So, as a black female therapist, how was that? Difficult.
I don't know. I have so many mixed feelings about it because all of my clientele are not black, you know. So I think when I give perspective, I have to take that into consideration, but I was really trained on a very multicultural perspective.
Okay.
So I like to consider like a lot of things when I'm treating people. And there are some times where I've been in situations where I've literally had to treat people who are in the KKK or some other hate group, you know?
Girl, my lash really just almost flipped off.
Yeah. I think those have been the hardest to me. I've always been a people person and being able to like, I love meeting new people and sharing experiences and that kind of stuff too. And just learning from people. But the situation with the KKK, that was difficult.
Girl, I'm not even trying to cut you off. Oh my God. How did they treat you?
Well, I worked for a jail at the time. So actually it was an internship. So I would go into the jail and I would provide like really quick assessments to see if they had any needs there so they can get those met. And he was so mean. He was like to the point where the correctional officer had to come over and tell him like, if you need her help, then you need to respect her. And normally I
you have that same KKK mentality all in there.
Mm-hmm. And the only time I've never had it is when they've been trying to get like a prescription. So they'll be like super, super nice. If I had somebody like in the KKK, super nice, and they'll butter me up just to get that. But I'm not giving you a prescription. I'm just giving you a recommendation for a psychiatrist. So I'm really not doing that much for you as you think you are. But yeah, it was to the point where the correctional officer had to step in and say, you need to, you know. And most of the time now, if I'm getting disrespected, I can just get up and walk out. This isn't going to work out between us, you know. But it's just a little different in a correctional setting because they don't have, you know, other options. So you have to put your stuff aside and say, what do I need to do for them right now?
Wow, I know that had to make you that much stronger just personally to be able to do that. Like that's, because you're talking to somebody who honestly potentially hates you because of the skin. Yeah.
For sure hates me, but I still have to help them. And I think that's why it's so difficult. Yeah, the forensic realm, I think a lot of people don't take that into consideration. I hear sometimes people saying you have to be built different for forensics because you hear so many different stuff. And I've dealt with a lot of people who committed very severe crimes. So it's hard to hear. And you hearing that day in and day out, a lot of people in the forensic area suffer a lot. I know about a lot of therapists in the past who've had to go to substance abuse treatment and things like that because they've coped using those kind of things because it was so difficult. So really checking in with yourself and what you're doing and also checking your biases. Could I help them, you know, in that moment? I could. If I couldn't, I would have had to say no.
That's deep. Yeah, that's why I'm like, oh my God.
It's like you gotta be legit, you gotta be built different. I know myself and I know like no matter how much work I do with myself, per development, all this other shit, it's like,
you gonna knock
if you just fucking beat your ass, like.
Yeah, and I think that's why I've developed my patience because I was not such a patient person before, but like now I'm like you can throw a lot at me, and it takes a lot for me to get to a point where I'm just like I'm over this, you know.
Oh wait, now I want to correct everybody correct me. I gotta be correct because I know you're Panamanian and black, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, how do you?
I'm Afro-Latina.
Okay, that's what I was saying.
I mean, black on both sides, honestly, but
Okay.
I identify as black and then Afro-Latina.
Okay. I didn't want to say Afro-Latina and I got it wrong, so I want to ask you first. That's why I want to correct it because I know like I like to address people correctly. So.
People always think I'm Latino and
Well, what do you know?
good old Creole. Good old Creole.
What up?
From New Orleans?
No. I'm actually from Michigan, D-Town. But I'm French, Black, and Indian. And when I came to Georgia, that's when I found out that Haitians in New Orleans, and because there was a Haitian guy I was working with, and I said, I'm Creole. He said, I'm Creole. And he's like, are you Haitian? I said, no. So I Googled it. I ain't gonna hold y'all up, y'all. I Googled it. So I was like, am I crazy? Grammy, Creole? Like, what's going on? And there's actually different sets of Creole people, and French is one of them. And French, of course, is back. It really is kind of like in the Latin realm. That's why the language is so. Amor is love, la amor is love. Like, so yeah, but anyway, that's another topic and story. But hi. I'm black. At the end of the day,
I'm black.
Black.
I know what my makeup is, so I'm like.
You can go for Dominican though.
Oh, okay. This is not.
I'm sorry.
Well, to be fair, because y'all know I'm Latina too. Okay, so this is the thing. You have in every culture, and I think people don't recognize this too, in your Latin American, Central American, Spanish cultures, there's black, and there's white people. So physically, like I go back home and everybody's darker than me because my family is black there, you know what I mean? I have some white family members, but you can be Dominican and you can be black and you can be a white Dominican.
Okay,
I've not seen the white Dominican.
I have a homegirl who's Dominican, and me and her are the same complexion. And my grandma is a little bit lighter than me, and everybody thinks she's Dominican. But it's like, okay, so my actual makeup is I'm mostly Nigerian Ghanaian. Like that's my like my dad, homie, like, but he's Nigerian, same like he's Ghanaian. So it's like I just have to go black because like it's not enough for me to be like
breaking it all down,
breaking down the
origins and right.
It's just too much. Like, I know parts of where I'm from is part of one of my cleansing process right now is actually like doing more learning of like who I am as a person, like my actual from my actual makeup. Just because like I think I'm 34. I think most people got me.
I'm 35.
Girl, come on now.
You 35?
Yes.
Stop playing.
Right, sheesh.
In January. I just turned 35.
I turned 35 June 2nd.
Yeah.
Wow,
So
we have a lot of connections.
A lot of connections, y'all. This has been going on for months.
and
Like,
I don't know if y'all went through this, but like when the 34 part hit, like I realized I'm about to turn 34. I ain't gonna say it was like a quarter life crisis situation, but it was like I was like I need to really clean shit in my life. So I decluttered my apartment because for some reason I accumulated a lot of shit when I moved here. So like I got rid of like maybe 30% of my stuff, of my clothes, in my closet. I'm doing a solo trip with myself for the first time.
Okay, congrats. I've yet to do that. That's on my bucket list.
So it's just like a lot of weird shit's been happening when that 34 part hit. I was like, 33 was great. But I'm actually like in a really happy space. So
enjoy that.
I will.
Because we focus too far in advance or too far behind, and it's like you're living right now. Focus on the present moment. Enjoy that because it'll change. You know, life's up and downs. It'll change, and then we never fully experience it because of that.
And I think that was kind of where I'm at now. I've been so far ahead of everything.
Like very in the future.
Yeah, like you talk like my whole life for the last 6 years in my business, which isn't a bad thing, but it's like my business has been so important that I haven't actually enjoyed my life a lot of times. So it's like it's always business first. Like, I haven't really enjoyed a lot of my life, except like in small moments where like I get like in a really shitty mood, and then it's like I'm just gonna like just fucking live my life for the next 3 months, and it's like it doesn't feel the same way.
Yeah, 30 was I think when I was 29, I was getting ready to turn 30, and for some odd reason, January makes me feel like, all right, your birthday's here, because it's 6 months, it's right on the cusp, right? And I remember I was crying. I did not want to turn 30. I remember I was crying. I did not want to turn 30. I was like, can I stop it? Come on, God, like just pause something. Because because I was living so far in the future, I already knew where I was going to be at 30. I knew, like nobody could tell me different. And so like when I went into 30, I felt extremely old. I didn't really feel like a failure because I was living, but I felt old. I felt like just not whole, not complete. I was like, life is over. I felt like I couldn't do anything, and I was in media, and I was like, okay, I'm too old for media now. And it was a time where like literally I didn't even tell my age at all. People would just be like, how old are you? How old are you? You know what I mean? I'm not telling you nothing.
To all our people who are now in their 40s, when y'all was 30, we called y'all old. We're so sorry.
We are super sorry. Oh my! Let me give you a hug through the camera.
Oh, that's up.
Right. Because people now like in their 20s, and I'm like, are you 35? Dang! I didn't know you was that old. I'm like, I should thump you.
But have you got the yes ma'am or the
yes?
No?
I get
do
yes,
not do that.
And
do
I was
not
like,
no
don't
ma'am.
do that because I'm not that much older.
Right? Yeah. Don't do no ma'am. Oh, I was just trying to be polite. Well, you're not. You're disrespectful, and I should thump your ass.
I was like,
you about to get. Okay. Do not call me ma'am at all.
I was real sidetracked by that when I got that.
Yeah, and even though people are like, oh, it's a polite thing, or we didn't even know, it doesn't matter how old you are. No, that ma'am is in my book. It is a certain age.
I call my dad sir to piss him off. My dad's 54, so I'm a dickhead. What up, sir?
Oh my gosh. If I say ma'am to my mom, she's like, okay, here you go. So I'm like, hi ma'am. She's like, here you go. But no, I feel like, yeah, you definitely need to live life every single day. That is so important because one thing that was so shitty, it was hard for me reaching goals. But then I would reach the goal, and before I could even be happy about the goal and celebrate the goal, I was already setting another goal.
Yep.
And I didn't even embrace that accomplishment at all. So it's like, it's important. But again, back to therapy. Therapists can help you with all of that. Even if you say, well, you know what, I had a great childhood and I had a great adulthood, young adulthood, and I'm good. But now I'm at a part of my life where I feel like I'm at a crossroad and I'm just standing there. Go get therapy. They can help you cope. I feel old now. I did this, I did that. Go talk to a therapist because they can help you. You don't have to keep trying to do it on your own. And when you get older,
black female therapist, I swear to God, I promise you I do. Now, this is why.
Oh yeah, tell us your
I've
why.
had 5 therapists. My first 2 were white.
Females or guys?
It was a guy. My first therapist was a white guy.
Okay.
Not talking to you, bro. I'm 18, fresh out of Detroit. What to talk to you about?
Right.
My second one he was white and Asian. Still wasn't feeling it. Like, I was in therapy for a whole fucking year.
Lying.
No.
And that bitch.
Lying? Not even fucking lying. I ain't talking half the time. Watch this.
Ooh.
He about how you feel. I'm cool. I don't trust you, bro. Like, and then I know with a black male therapist. And I was like, okay, this is cool. He's black. He's a guy. The issue is that.
Too cool?
No. We're polar opposites. He was like, I don't like using the word whitewashed. It's the only
He
way I
voted
can
for
describe
Trump.
it.
I'm
Only way I can describe it. He was like from Arizona.
He was blue collar.
Like definitely
Absurd.
Yeah.
This was absurd, Christopher.
Like one of them type dudes. I'm like, bro, I can't talk to you because it feels like the same way. Mm-hmm. And then my therapist after that she was a black woman. She was cool. It was I only had her like a few sessions. And then I ended up with my last therapist. She was a biracial black woman. And
y'all want to hear what you're saying about that.
And she was cool as fuck. Mm-hmm. It was like talking to my auntie. It was like her name.
Okay.
Literally, like our first session. She was like, so how you doing today? It had like cute little accent. I was like, I'm chilling, yo. Like, oh, this is going on. It was like, we went right into it. And like, I come here every week and I was just like, this is where I'm at. This is how I feel. Like, and it was natural to talk to her because she had like the cool ass auntie vibe. And that made me realize I'm like, okay, cool. Like, I know that I don't have an issue with guys. I have an issue talking to guys about like personal shit because of.
Why do you say that?
Because I was talking to my dad about my personal shit.
Oh, so like, you shut it down from childhood.
Yeah, it's like me and my family, like we didn't do the whole. My dad would like do his best to ask me how I feel about stuff, but it was like a very roundabout way. Like his way, like show me he cared about me is like give me money or he could take me all my games, like stuff like that. But it was like he had like a block of trying to ask me how I feel about things.
You needed affirmation. It sounded like you needed somebody to tell you stuff. Like you needed to hear that because it seemed like he was loving you, but he was loving you with like gifts and time.
Yeah.
His way, basically.
Yeah, like so now, like in my 30s, I get the most. I'm proud for you, this man. Like, every other fucking week. Like it's appreciated. So like my dad fucked up with that. So like the fact that he does take time to call me, like yo, still proud of you, blah blah blah. That stuff means a lot more. And I'm like, bro, I need this shit like 20 years ago. Like, but it's cool though. So like I get to talk to me and my dad talk to me now. It's like now it's like when I talk to him, it's like okay, everything's going on right now. So I'm gonna talk to you like in a few weeks. But it was like with my therapist, it was just cool because it was like I can get to freely speak about how I feel and not be judged. So like I can talk to her about like my relationships, how I felt about my finances, like what my blockage are when it comes to like not dating, or my blockage when it comes to like my business and where it needs to be at. And like it was never a judgmental thing. It was like, okay, cool. Well, how you thought about this? You thought about that? Why don't you think about that shit? I'm pretty sure my other therapist brought it up, but
I ain't gonna talk to them. So my question, actually, you just made me think of a question to you. Then is, have you ever had to adjust yourself for a client? Like, have you ever had to? Okay, so you're in a formal setting, you're evaluating. Have you ever had to? I gotta be a little bit more cool to get them out, or have you been like really stern on this is the type of therapist I am, and I stick to it? Do you find or like as an adjustment, or is it like a firm? How do you?
I think naturally there is an adjustment here and there. So if I'm talking to my older clients, I'm gonna not, if they're not speaking a certain way, then I'm not gonna speak that way to them. But with my younger clients who might come from like a similar background, we can share different like words and
So
things
you're the
like
cool
that.
ass
Well,
therapist.
I'm me. I like to. One thing I learned when I was going through my training for my doctorate was that you don't have to put on a therapist hat. You come in and you show up as yourself. And so there's going to be clients for you. They're going to feel comfortable around you because you're you, and you don't have to change. But I think naturally, as a human being, I'm an onion. So like, there's people who see different layers of me. It doesn't mean that I'm changing. It just means that this is a part of me that I express here and
We
here
needed
in
it
this.
or I needed it. Okay.
So
I'm glad you said that because I think a lot of people take the whole, if they know you a certain way versus how everybody else knows you, oh, you're different, you changed. It's like, there are parts to me. There are parts of me that's different from everybody. Like, how I am like right now in the podcast, that's my show. I'm comfortable with the Barbie show. I can be like this. And certain people are just like, I'm super chill.
right.
I don't talk about you. Oh, you different. Like, no, it's certain people I can do myself with these.
You're actually
certain
really
things.
funny, Chris. Like,
I
I
don't
don't know
even
how
try to
funny
be funny.
Chris was.
I don't even try to be funny. I just tell my regular ass like,
Shit. You're actually a little comedian on the low, and I did not know that at all. You could tell, girl, like, he's so formal on this episode, but he be going sometimes.
Oh, please don't be formal for me. I'm just trying to. Listen.
I guess that's the vibe, but he's such a funny ass. Like I be looking like Chris. But I'm an ass too, so we're kind of like friendly assholes. But no, this is, I think with the formal vibe we're giving though is just so people can understand that we've gone through things. You even said you've gone through things. You have a therapist yourself, and the importance of it. And really, like, I hope you guys can see the peace that we have because we do go to therapy. Not saying everybody in the world needs it, but when you do need it, you should not be afraid to do it because it is a peace, and we're comfortable talking about it. Flat out.
before we wrap up though, when you're not out here saving lives, having mindsets, what do you do? Like, what's your life?
For fun?
For fun, what do you enjoy?
I'm a very big family person, so I have loads of nieces and nephews.
Which are adorable, by the way.
Thank
It's
you.
hell.
I got a new one 3 weeks ago. So.
A new one.
Oh, she's so
Like she just got the new Yeezys. I got a new one.
I mean, listen, I'm at number 10 by now, so
Oh.
I got a new one. Okay.
I had a lot.
Yeah, I got a lot of stuff. But so yeah, I like spending time with family. I like art and going out seeing different art exhibits and going to museums and poetry. I like eating. I eat a lot.
Good, because I already pictured this lunch date we're gonna be having.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Let me know when.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm a foodie.
Yeah.
Which hence is why I have to go to Chris.
No, that's what I was just saying. I was like, for the last month, I've literally just been chilling at home and eating. So I've gained like some pounds. So now I'm about to go back and start working out again. Yeah. But yeah, I'm pretty chill. I have my days where I do stuff, but I like being outside too. So.
From your Instagram, you're a plant mom.
I am a plant
You're a
mom.
dog mom.
And a dog.
Oh my God, me too.
Yeah, I see your dog though all the time. Cujo is my dog. He's
Aw.
little. He's 13 pounds.
Oh, yeah, Diva, she fluctuates between like 9 and 11 pounds.
Oh, she's cute. That's a Yorkie, right? Yeah, I saw that.
Little Diva, little crazy little ass. She's like a little human. But I'm a plant mom too. I didn't know I had a green thumb until somebody gifted me with the money tree. And I like went all out. I got the spray bottle. I sprayed it. I love it. I talk to it. I pet it.
And
Like
you're
the new
supposed
ones.
to,
Yes. Are you hating?
No, I didn't know you had to do all that.
Yeah,
Yes,
when you talk
you gotta
to
love it.
It's a whole thing. I don't know. I saw like I want to say it's a show or something. It was like a It wasn't a documentary. I don't know. It's something tell you about plants and how they respond to light and all this other stuff. And when you talk to them,
Right by the window. Natural light all day. Every day.
Okay, I did not know that because I was telling her before we started. I was like, one of the things that's on my list of things to do when I move is I'm going to be a plant dad and a dog dad.
You want a dog?
I've been a dog dad.
Diva loves you.
I haven't been a dog dad in probably 11 years.
Oh,
I've
wow.
never been a plant dad before, but I was like, I want to be a plant dad and a dog dad. And I don't know why, but I picture myself like in this cool ass loft with a bunch of plants, all my records and stuff, and vinyls, and my little doggy, my baby
You
doggy.
gonna give your plant some Lux juice? Look.
I still need to order my good.
Oh.
Okay, so I tried one because I was like, okay, Chris is here. He's right, pretty much he's like a neighbor. So I tried one, and I could have did a whole little ad. It's actually really good. And I was like, why did you give me this Kool-Aid? What is this? And he's like, it's not Kool-Aid. It tastes really good. I had the grape one. It was super,
Oh,
super
that's
good.
like my favorite grape.
Oh my gosh. I tried to preserve it too.
I have a re-up coming when I come back from Puerto Rico.
You have what?
That's your solo trip to
Okay.
Puerto Rico?
Yeah, I'm going to go for 40.
Oh, I can tell you where to go. I
Oh, you
went on a
can?
road trip.
Oh, yeah,
to the
absolutely,
whole
yes.
island.
I better get a shot glass or something
I got
back
you,
from
I
Puerto
got you.
Rico. Or a fridge magnet. I'm like,
Everybody,
Yeah.
I don't know why people find out, like, they were like, you picked Puerto Rico as a solo trip. I'm like, yeah, why not? Like,
don't talk to
it's-
no strangers.
It's like the most odd thing to do. I didn't think it was odd. Like,
It's not.
I think it's probably beautiful.
It's-
Oh my
yeah.
God.
I booked it and I was like, at first I was like, if y'all want to go, y'all can go. I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, the way I said I don't care, it was more like, please don't book your trip.
Right, kind of like,
I need to be by myself. You know.
Oh my gosh, I want
It's
to
a boundary
understand.
thing. I'm working on something people know.
Yeah.
So
you
I
should.
did tell somebody no. They're like, I'm gonna book it, blah, blah, blah. I was like, how about you don't? Let me go with myself and let me enjoy this.
I mean, yeah. They said that nice.
I was about to say, that's why I was like, Chris is so.
It was nicer.
I'll tell you
Also,
his
I mean,
nickname
they
after
took
we are done
It
recording.
was
Okay.
nicer. It was nicer.
That was very blunt, and I like that. I mean, sometimes you gotta get the point across that way.
It was a text message. I was like, yo, how about don't book your flight? I'm like, let me enjoy this. I'll book another time. We all can go. Like,
I will sign me up because I'm definitely.
yeah, I'll do it.
They have a TED Talks that this lady is called Fucks Giving. And she's like, where are you giving your fucks? And I thought it was hilarious because I am a sailor cursor. So I was like, this is so funny. But her message behind it was about saying no and what you give your energy and attention to. I will definitely send y'all that link. It was amazing. I mean, it draws you in when she talks about it. And it really impacted my life as far as saying no.
Yeah, and just saying, like you don't have to offer an explanation to anybody.
And that's what she said. She was like, you don't. And it's like, where are you giving your fucks given to? And the way she uses it in a metaphoric way, and I loved it. But I'm definitely gonna share that, and I can probably put the link or something in as well. Y'all can check that out.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, well, it's been amazing talking to
Thanks.
you. You are so refreshing. You have an amazing vibe and energy and things like that. Definitely a future friend, y'all, because I keep running into her anyway. But Chris, of course, you're just the amazing co-host, because I just feel so compelled to tell you that. You know, you motivate me too. You motivate me. So I'm giving you your flowers now, because that's the energy that's just in the room. So yes, this is bomb, y'all.
Yeah, thank y'all so much.
Okay.
If you don't mind.
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram at Keisha Prince _ and then all my other stuff should be linked to there. Yeah.
Oh, I will say I appreciate your daily videos because they have been dope. Because I did text you one day. I was like, yo, I see your content has changed, and I appreciate it because it's like I don't know. I love to see people like flourish today on social media. I know sometimes it's hard, especially like in like professional sense, like trying to be personal, trying to be professional.
Right.
It was like you just put like on your couch, just like you drinking tea and stuff. Like,
Just looking cute.
you
Just vibing.
Just trying to.
Yeah, you just feel burnt out. I was like, I do feel burnt out. This is crazy.
Yeah, and I know it because I've been there too. And that's why a lot of us, you know, the therapists, we can relate to a lot of what y'all are going through. So these are things we also use to help ourselves out of these situations.
Okay, we appreciate it. So thank you guys as always for tuning in. Make sure you follow Dr. KP. Follow Real Barbeee, Real Chris Radney. And know that, again, that's not intentional. But yeah, thank you for always tuning in. We appreciate y'all. You know, subscribe, share, like, follow us, and you know, y'all have a blessed week.
You with Jackers doing whippers. Jack of all trades, my cousin taught me how to whip it. Not my favorite place, the kitchen. Like Big Mama, give you soul food, yeah, nigga, put my foot up in it. Never jealous, cause I'm gifted. Yeah, my success is written. Honestly, I probably run out all my apologies. It's fuck you, yeah, that's cool. And it's up there's all I got in me. Twin eyes with the solace on them. That's a quiet storm, no prodigy. And my crazy shit probably. Stay tuned on my odyssey. Never give a fuck about opinions with my heart up in it. 3-car garage with the sauce all in it. 4 niggas, 6 blicks, militant, how I'm living. Gotta keep ballin' Michael Jones, what I'm sipping. I be the helping hand, now I'm playing pimpin'. Cut too strong, so a nigga gotta mix it. Ass so fat, damn a nigga gotta kiss it. Should be a secret, but I thought I'd mention.